Please enjoy this feature presentation of the Crooked River Radio Network. This program is rated for all audiences.
Welcome to the Nanosecond Podcast. With your hosts, Erik Nannarone, Nick Goglioni, and Pat Morrow. Interesting topics, intriguing conversation, and entertainment. Erik, Nick, and Pat will be right with you.
Hello and welcome to the Nanosecond Podcast. I'm Erik.
I'm Pat.
I'm Evan.
And I'm Pat. I'm out here somewhere. Hello, come in.
Okay. That usually never happens where you guys go over each other. That's actually kind of cool. But anyway, today we have a special show. We're talking about the Hurricane Helene, and today's guest is Christy Henderson from WSPA in Greenville, South Carolina.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I didn't want to butcher it. I'm like, oh no. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. So, we got into this a little off the air, but what's kind of the process of the cleanup since the storm hit?
Well, we have a lot to clean up around here. Our TV market covers the upstate of South Carolina and all of western North Carolina and northeast Georgia. So if you remember, Hurricane Helene made landfall late Thursday night, about 11:10, southeast of Tallahassee, Florida. And we knew it was moving quickly northward, and we knew we were going to be on the ended up edging on the right side of that forecast cone to where it was so close that we had about 3 hours of 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts. And that combined with a lot of rain the previous 3 days and then a lot of rain as the storm came through, we had widespread flash flooding, rivers came out of their banks, wind damage. So around the upstate, trees are down everywhere, and it's much worse up into western North Carolina, where some communities have just been wiped off. Swept clean from the floodwaters. And so there's all kinds of devastation up in western North Carolina. Roads are washed out. You can't get to Asheville, but I think one way from I-26 coming in from South Carolina. So it's going to take months and years for the cleanup. And a lot of people are still trying to get power back on in the upstate.
Let me jump in.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask this. What do we know about current casualties? How many people have been lost in the storm? Do we have an updated figure?
I believe that the updated figure, and this is more news than weather, so I hear it and I hate it, but I don't necessarily memorize. But I want to say that we're in the mid 60s on people that we've lost in the Western Carolinas. But we fear that there are a lot of people that we don't know about yet, because you think about it, all the power went out when the conditions turned severe. There are still people that cannot communicate. So another major push has been to get lines of communication available, whether it's Starlink, whether it's, high up on a mountain where they can get some kind of reception, to get messages to even their family that live somewhere else that are worried about them, that haven't been able to contact them. So it's been really, really difficult. But, we think there's probably going to be a whole lot more people, and that number is going to go way up. Cause of death around the upstate, I know, has been from trees falling on people. We had 2 individuals who were in their golf cart kind of surveying the damage, and a tree fell on them. Mm-hmm. We had 8 inches of rain, and then trees just started being pushed over. And others, I think we had 1 death as a result of someone using a generator inside their house instead of leaving it outside. So just real tragedies like that. And as a meteorologist, we never want anyone to die on our watch, when we have a storm coming in. But this was so extreme that I don't think anybody could have reasonably expected what we saw.
Let me ask you a little bit about the casualties and stuff like that. I know this is a little bit off topic of what we were going to cover, but I told you off air here that I'm an amateur radio operator, and I understand you are too. Have you ever listened to the any of the hurricane nets? Or any?
I have not, and the main reason has been that if it's impacting our area, they've got me pretty busy. You know,
I would imagine
doing updates. Yeah, they add updates and teases, you know, little recorded bits that they show during the course of programming to let people know we'll be on. So it's very difficult, you know, to stay in tune with what's going on with amateur radio and what they need me for on TV. I'm sure you've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually followed this particular storm. I followed it all the way from where it went in, and I was amazed at how fast it was moving. Normally a hurricane that size kind of just lumbers along, and
right.
I was expecting. Well, the last report that I had heard, it was 80 miles south or 80 miles northwest of or northeast of Macon, Georgia. And I figured, it's pretty much done. Well, you guys got hit.
Yeah.
Clear up into North Carolina, and it's been raining here in Ohio for 3 days.
Yeah. It was moving at about 20 to 25 miles per hour. It really was incredible because it's one of the largest hurricanes that we've seen in a long time, and especially at this latitude. So to have something like that so large, moving so fast, that gets to be a Category 4, it was able to cover a lot of ground and do a lot of damage.
I was amazed at how fast it moved.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But, I know that there's been some broadcasting on Facebook, and the reason I brought the hurricane net up was after everything was pretty much over, yesterday evening I was tuning around, and that there are remnants of those hurricane nets are still there looking for the people. They're asking people to go into the neighborhoods and check on people because there's families that are worried about what's there. I've also seen tons of it on Facebook. It's
heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Some people have lost absolutely everything, and as much as you could say this is going to be catastrophic, we're expecting flooding, we're expecting outages, wind damage. Most of the time it's not as bad as you think it looks.
Typical meteorology.
This time it was worse. And we're always having to strike a balance between being reasonable, right? Because if every time we say it's terrible and it's not, no one's going to believe us when the big one comes like this one was. And so my approach has always been to be as accurate as possible, as level-headed as possible in presenting the threat. But, I had to say this looks like it could be catastrophic. It's hard to register, though, because we haven't seen catastrophic around here in a long time.
Yeah, that's pretty hard to judge that. I know up here with when I have an amazing amount of resources that I'm able to get into. The National Weather Service has what they call a chat 2. I don't know if you guys have that down there or not.
We do. Yeah, we do.
That's supposed to be nationwide. And it's a pretty informative thing, especially if you're watching a storm like that. The other thing, you're actually getting the information out of the Weather Bureau, which sometimes, as far as our local meteorology up here, sometimes they're just guessing. And you can tell it. I can tell it simply because what I'm seeing coming in my phone is not what they're saying on the television. And there's a couple of channels up here that really overdo the radar. So I commend you for trying to be as accurate as you can, because that's what people want.
That's right.
Accuracy is going to save a life or the lives.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I got into this business not because I wanted to be on TV, but because I like forecasting the weather. I like the challenge of trying to figure out what's going to happen And what I don't like is the day after, everybody ridiculing the broadcast meteorologist. So, I mean, our job, our branch of meteorology is to message the public on what's going to happen. You're right. The warnings and the watches, a lot of the reports come in through the National Weather Service. But I'm a degreed meteorologist, so I also make my own forecast. And then the Weather Service to us is another group of people to bounce your ideas off of on what you think is going to happen. So it truly is a teamwork effort. And there's a very good relationship between the broadcast meteorologist and the National Weather Service office during these events, which is very good to coordinate messaging.
Did you see the Twister movie? I got to ask.
I did. I did. I didn't see the newest one, though. Actually.
Oh, the new ones. The newest one's actually got a better plot. But the first one's depiction of the storms and everything, it couldn't have been any better. The second one was kind of lacked a little bit there. As somebody that watches the weather like I do, I pick this stuff out. I've been following weather since 1973 or 72.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I should have been a meteorologist. I ended up working for an auto company.
Well, why didn't you become a meteorologist?
It was just the way the time went, It's, you're meant to do something at a certain time in your life. And mine was family, and I didn't have money for college or anything like that. So I ended up going other places and doing other things. And then I ended up getting into ham radio in 1991. I had swore back in 72 that I was never going to let us. We had a set of storms come through. There was a couple of tornadoes. And I had swore at that time, there was no radar on TV. You could not see what was going on. Yeah. And at that point, I swore that I was going to find a way of getting so these storms didn't scare me anymore. And I did what I said. It's kind of been a life passion for me.
Yeah. And, amateur radio is critical for getting information. We call it ground truth, where you look at what's on the radar and then you get reports of what people are seeing.
Ground truth observations. And you can have a million.
Important.
You can have phased arrays. You can have any kind of radar you want. But there ain't going to be nothing as good as a set of eyes.
Yeah.
I've said that ever since I got into this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a guy.
Can I interject here?
Sure.
I just thought of a question here. Christy, since you've been in meteorology for a while, you don't have to disclose exactly how long, but I am just curious for my own edification, how long do you think you can predict out from the current time we are in to, putting together an accurate forecast? Is it 3 days? Is it 5 days? How long do you figure you can put together a forecast that can be reasonably accurate in anybody's mind?
Reasonably accurate in anyone's mind, I would say 6 days. Reasonably accurate in my mind is about 4. The 7 day is almost a dart to a dartboard. So some TV stations show 10 and 14 day forecasts, which you should never, ever make plans based on that because so much can change. I mean, we're hearing now after we dealt with Helene, the second question after, was your family safe is now what about this thing that's going to form in the Caribbean? We have another one coming. Well, somebody keyed in on a computer model that had a scary solution showing another hurricane moving our way. And that was a few days ago. You look at the latest computer model, there's nothing out there. I mean, something may develop. That still kind of agrees, but it looks to be much weaker into the south, but we just don't know because it hasn't formed yet. So you really can't go too far out in the future just because of how many things are coming together to make the weather.
There was a legendary.
That's what I thought. I figured I'd ask it just to hear from somebody in the industry who says, okay, you can probably say about a week ahead of time, okay, this is going to be reasonably what we can expect to happen.
That's right. Yeah, we have another cold front coming. If it moves faster, we're going to cool down a little, sooner. You have to qualify. Our business is probability. It's based on probability, and so that's kind of what we're dealing with every day.
There was a legendary forecaster up here in Ohio, Dick Goddard, and he made at one point in his career, he made a statement that is so true to me. He said that if when you're winter forecasting, and you're winter forecasting for a certain area, say 2,500 feet, he said that forecasting something like that is like going to the space shuttle and throwing out a pin and predicting where it's going to fall. That is so true.
It is true. Yeah. Because we got little microclimates, that change. So
we get a lot of splits in over our county, and people for a long time didn't believe those existed. I knew it. I followed them. I saw it all the time. But we got talking to another forecaster once. That's a local guy, and he knew what I was talking about. He says we have to put things in the forecast for that. The intricacies of this stuff is just what's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It's a constant balance, on giving people the best idea of what's going to happen, yet also letting them know, but if this happens, then we may be different weather. You really do have to be a good communicator. You have to be able to tell a story as a meteorologist on TV, because you've got about 3 minutes to get your message across. So you have to be organized. Your graphics have to be clear, and everyone lives for that 7-day forecast. So
short of your degree, how long have you been had the interest in weather?
Well, I've had my degree for almost 30 years. I went to Texas A&M, majored in meteorology, and it was not my lifelong dream. A lot of broadcast meteorologists will say, I knew since I was 5 I wanted to do the weather. I had no interest in the weather at that age. My job was to watch the bottom of the screen to see if we had a snow day, when it snowed. I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas. So as I got into high school and we had to start thinking about a career in college and a major, I knew I liked math. I knew I liked physics or science in general. And it was my mom that said, why don't you try meteorology? And I remember saying, what's that? And I was a junior in high school at that point. I really wanted to go to the Air Force Academy, but I wasn't accepted there. And that's okay, because things work out for a reason. But when I did some research, to get a degree in meteorology, you do a lot of math and a lot of science first 2 years. Then you combine that to learn about the weather for the last 2 years. So it was perfect for me. And after an internship at a TV station, I decided I would like the broadcast side, just because I got to meet a lot of people and, use my personality, make my own forecast.
Yeah, that's the reason we do podcasting. I do what I do here. It's so fun to meet people.
Yeah, it is fun.
And the cool part is if you had a TV show or a call-in radio show, let's say, I can call and talk to you for 2 minutes, but I can't get that much out of you because you're on radio. But something like this, where we can sit and talk for 15 minutes, half hour, whatever, is a blast to me. That's why we do this. And I don't make any. I run this. I actually own the station and everything, and it's I've not made a penny off of it. I do it for the fun.
Yeah,
it's a blast.
It is fun. It is fun. Yeah, I love it.
Anyway, Eric's been kind of quiet. Whatever happened to him?
Well, actually, I think I have another member who might have a couple questions on the hurricane, so he might be joining. Oh
yes.
But he, my friend's kid actually puts together his own forecast, and he's only 14. And he's one of the most, he's one of the most accurate weather people I know. So.
Is he free Friday night? Because I'd love to take the day off.
He's actually done. He was on one of the local channels.
Oh wow!
TV channels doing the live broadcast for it, like on a Friday morning. It was
good for him.
He did an awesome job.
And we can extend that. The local meteorologist we've been talking about, we've had him in before, and the two of them almost took over this show. So the rest of us,
if we wouldn't have interrupted them, they would have still been going.
Maybe they'll start their own show together. You never know.
Possibly.
Like to be here.
But, just talking about the industry in itself, how has it evolved throughout your career?
Well, it has changed a whole lot. First of all, the technology has gotten good, gotten a lot better, not just in making a forecast, but also in the computer equipment that we show, to make our graphics and to put together our weather story for the night. For the first, I don't know, maybe 10 years in the business, we had to be an artist, a graphic artist, because you had to draw the cold fronts on there and the highs and lows, and you had to do a lot of creation. Well, these days there are so many newscasts that we don't have time to do that. So with time, the weather computer vendors have come up with a lot of automatic updates for temperature and for warnings and things like that. So that's changed a lot. And as I mentioned, we do more and more local news. We realize that people can just pick up their phone and look up a forecast if they need one. And so we try to make that available on our website and on our app. But we also kind of bank on people tuning in at one of these time periods, during the evening news, to get the story, the background story behind all the numbers and percentages you see on an app.
Do you ever do anything on as far as streaming on the on like an app for your station?
Usually I'm going to stream on Facebook Live if it's a real big event coming in. I just personally have found that I get a pretty good audience with that, just to get the message out, and then people share it from there. So we don't do any streaming directly through the station. We used to use the station's Facebook account and do that, but they've indicated that they would prefer us to use our own account. So I usually will do that out of my professional account.
I can understand where that would come from, yeah.
Yeah, they've got a little more control of what content's on their main page, and I understand that too.
I do see that from the bio I read on you that you're a pilot. How long have you been flying? How long have you been flying?
Well, I haven't flown in several years because I've got two daughters that are in high school and they need all my time, money, and attention. But I got my license back in, I believe, 2012, and I did some flying. I'm a relatively low hours pilot just because things changed. I was in a plane crash and flew for a little while longer than that. And then work and family took center stage. Like I said, it's a lot of expenses come into play as your kids get older. And I decided that I needed to prioritize them instead of myself on the flying. But at some point I'd like to get back into it.
I've had couple of friends up here that are into going out to that thing out in Oshkosh.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
They were out there this year and said it was a blast. What amazes me is how quickly they bring all those planes in and how orchestrated that thing is. Just amazing.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. It's fun flying. I mean, if you're able to fly 3 times a week, it really feels like you're getting in a car and going somewhere. But if your frequency of you getting in the plane and going somewhere gets lower and lower, then each time you're kind of relearning some things and you might be rusty on a few others. So obviously it demands your full attention and preparation. So, you need a little more time than I have right now, but it sure is a great feeling to just get in a plane and go. Yeah. No lines, no security check. You can't go as far, when you're flying a little Cessna, but you can still have some fun.
Well, I know people that have flown from here to Florida.
Oh yeah. Oh, that would be a good flight. I've just done short jaunts. So
anyway, getting back to what have we got coming as far as weather-wise for your area? Is there anything on the local horizon that you're seeing, or you don't want to scare anybody? Or?
Yeah, probably for the next 7 days, most of us are going to see quiet weather, which is what everybody wants. However, today and tomorrow we've had and we'll have a few light showers in the mountains, which, you'd see just isolated light showers. You're like, everything's fine. But the problem is that in North Carolina, where we've had several landslides, there are still a lot of sloped areas, mountainsides, just steep terrain that is okay for now, but unstable. And the North Carolina Geological Survey sent out a note this evening saying any of this rain could trigger another landslide. So we had to kind of let people know about that. it's going to take several days of completely dry weather for things to start to take root again. And for the next 2 days, not only is there a lot of cleanup going on, but there's still, a lot of areas that are unstable. Whether, maybe some trees are leaning, but they didn't quite fall. It takes one wind gust and that tree is falling over. So there's still a lot of things you have to be careful about, even though it's been, 4 days since Helene moved through here. It's a long time for cleanup and the amount of time you have to be careful.
Do you have power back?
Helene was definitely an intense one.
Yes, it definitely was. Yeah, Category 4 at landfall, and then it was a strong tropical storm when it went through right by to our west. So we had 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts for about 3 hours.
Yeah, I heard Southern Ohio did too.
Yeah, and that kind of wind pressure on top of trees that have all their foliage on soggy ground is just kind of recipe for disaster. So are you our weather expert?
I am. My name is Ethan. What's your name?
My name is Christy Henderson.
And are you a meteorologist or?
I am. I'm a meteorologist. I'm the chief meteorologist at WSPA in Spartanburg, South Carolina, the Greenville area.
Goodness, I'm meeting a chief meteorologist.
That's right. Yeah, I've been here 21 years. I graduated from Texas A&M University. They have a really good weather program, and I've done a lot of hop, skipping, and jumping around the country before I got the boss job here. So it's been great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. How about you? Yeah. What's your line of what's your goals?
My goals basically to put accurate forecasts out for my people in Northeast Ohio.
Good for you.
And I also have a YouTube channel called Severe Storm Filmer, and I provide forecasts for the tropical locations as well as the United States.
Oh, that sounds like a great quick reference for people, right?
Yeah.
Good. That's great. Congratulations for putting that together and staying on top of it, because the weather changes a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually expecting a pretty potent front through here late this weekend in Northeast Ohio. So,
Ethan, do you have any specific questions about the hurricane?
Any specific questions?
I
think Ethan knows it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have any questions, but I wanted to point out that there are a lot of YouTubers streaming live there, and that eye wall looks very intense. That definitely looked like Cat 4.
It did.
Caliber winds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It had very warm water to go over, and it just had everything work together for it to strengthen rapidly. You're right.
It's like bath water in the Gulf of Mexico.
It is, isn't it? I don't like it very much. It's too warm.
No. It's like a hot tub.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, when it's not refreshing to jump in the water, there's no point in even trying. So,
Nope.
Well, I take that over an Ohio winter any day of the week.
yeah, I bet a lot of people would.
There ain't nothing like 16 inches of snow. And of course, I'm retired now. So
Those big old winter storms that we get, oh boy.
Yeah, I know they can be a real doozy.
I've met
ice, snow, rain.
I've met Mike from the Weather Channel. I can't
Mike
think.
Seidel.
Bettis.
Mike Bettis.
Oh, Mike Bettis.
I was at a conference down in Columbus that he was a speaker of, and this was actually a tornado event at the Columbus University, or the Ohio State University sponsored.
Yeah.
And they had guys that were when that Joplin or the
Joplin tornado.
No, that it was the Nevada or the Reno, Oklahoma tornado. Sorry about that. I get brain frozen.
Yeah, Reno, Oklahoma
tornado. They were talking about, and some of the stories that I got from them, those guys, and then Bettis was up in New York during one of the lake effect snows, and he said that they came into Cleveland and drove out there to it was pretty much almost by the Buffalo Stadium, and he said that when they got, you could see the line of clouds that was going over the lake, and as soon as they got under that cloud, they decided they'd better pull over. So what they did is they pulled over and went into this hotel that they'd been booked into, and he said it snowed and it snowed, and he says every time we'd look out the mirror, it was going higher, and he said it got to the point where there was 5 feet of snow, and you couldn't get out of the hotel. And he was just, and then on top of it, he had thunder snow on top of it, which is a tremendous rarity anyway.
I want to point out another historic winter event I think was pretty fantastic in my lifetime. Obviously, I wasn't alive for the 78 blizzard, but I was alive for the 2022 blizzard.
78?
Yeah, I mean, y'all can get some big time snow events. We're happy to get a little snow down here, and once in a while
we can send you some.
Yeah, no, I don't want that much. That's too much. I will tell you this:
it'll be water. It's fine. Freeze it up, and then it'll be snow in your.
Exactly. Well, my brother-in-law lived in Fort Lauderdale. They got a job up in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
And talk about a culture shock, or just a weather shock, climate shock, because the first weekend they were up there, they got caught under one of those snow belts, one of the lake effect snow things, and it just piled on them. They were there for 3 years and decided they needed to move back to a warmer climate. But we went up there to visit to see Niagara Falls, and it's just a beautiful area.
When you get into those snow squalls, it's never good.
No,
the roads, never good. The winds pick up. You lose your visibility.
What we get up here as far as snow wise, it would paralyze you guys down there for a couple of weeks.
No, for sure.
We just bring the shovels out and our blowers.
We dust it off.
Maybe have a couple of plows. Other than that,
the state of Ohio buys about 6 million pounds of salt every year, and we just salt the roads and off we go. That's why there's no cars here, because they've all rusted up because of the salt.
Rusted. Yeah, it's a totally different lifestyle, based on the kind of weather we see. But, the kids are out all week, this week, just because of power. They can't even do e-learning days because a lot of folks don't have access to the internet. So
that was another thing that impresses me between us up here. I hadn't been to Florida for until about 1988. I was about almost 30. And by that time, I'd been watching weather up here for a long time. And then, we get the westerlies and all that. And these storms, when they track, they pretty much just track across the state and you're done. Going down there where you guys are is not the same. And it's, there's days that it comes in out of the south. There's days that it comes out of the west. There's days that it comes up from or down from the north. There's days that it comes in. And then you got the sea breezes and all.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Well, then you add the mountain terrain that we have in North Carolina, and in the winter, talk about wreaking havoc on a forecast, because I don't know if you've ever heard of cold air damming, but it's when you get cold air, sliding down the eastern side of the Appalachians, and that will set the stage for whether or not we have a cold rain, sleet, freezing rain, or snow. And because we forecast for a wide area, sometimes we've got to break it down into 4 different graphics because there are, so many different things that people are going to see. It gets pretty exciting. And that usually, most of the time, will start forming based on your winds coming in out of the southeast. So, there's a lot to think about. A lot of different weather patterns for sure across the country.
And speaking of winter and snowfall, these past couple winters have been big fat duds.
For us too. Yeah, we didn't have any snow last 2 years actually, so we'll see what happens this time around.
I'm good. Hold on, Nathan. Let me jump in real quick. I know you said you had only had a half hour, Christy. I just wanted to make sure that if you have to go, we don't want to hold you back.
I've got a few more minutes, maybe around 8:45, because we do have that 10 o'clock show, and I get to start rolling on graphics. Like I said, it never seems to end. But
Okay.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Roll.
Yeah. So what? Sorry, hold on. Okay. So what other questions did y'all have that I could help you with? I know that there's so much to talk about weather-wise in general.
Is there?
Okay, so.
Oh, sorry.
How can we? What is there to organization-wise that we can donate to, or that are helping in the relief efforts?
Well, I know the Red Cross is obviously usually the organization that leads the pack, and as far as getting supplies and help that people need. You also have organizations like Samaritan's Purse, which I think is on the way. The Baptist Men's Association, I think, is always mobilized to head that way. But people need food, they need water, and I think those are the two main things that Asheville, especially in North Carolina, really, really needs, based on an interview I heard from the mayor. So it's critical, and anything anybody can give to an organization that you can trust will go and help these people that are going to need everything from clothes to wear to homes to live in.
Isn't there like a hotline? I don't think it's for donations, but isn't there?
I'm sure there is. Like I said, not being in the news department, they're the ones that are always hearing from organizations and any special numbers that they give to them. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure I could probably Google search it right now and get it. But Red Cross is probably a really good one to go with.
If anybody wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Well, my email address is Henderson, CHENDERSON @WSPA.com. That's Whiskey Sierra Papa Alpha.com. That's our TV station here. And again, we're in charge of the Western Carolinas. So we're inland from hurricanes, but as we saw this last time around, we sure can take a beating when they come from that direction.
Oh, and I also have a question that's not regarding to the hurricane. Since you're a chief meteorologist, what do you predict the winter forecast to be influenced with La Nina?
Well, it was last time I checked, we were still in neutral conditions, and we hadn't switched over like we thought we were, which is part of the reason why the hurricane season slowed down for a while. But I would say that we've got a much better chance of some snow in the south. Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine y'all not seeing much snow this time around. Well, I guess we'll see. We can make our predictions like they did for the hurricanes, but you never know how it's going to work out. You just have to look for the pattern, that you can rely on. So
yeah, the polar vortex.
Yeah, silly polar vortex, always sending those big cold fronts down, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like December 2022, that big blizzard.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a little low pressure system. It's a doozy.
Yeah, it's a doozy. Yeah. I know. Yeah, for sure.
All right. I do want to say thank you for Christy for taking the time to come on with us.
You're so welcome.
You're always welcome back if you have something you need or just want to come on to one of our shows and chat. You're always welcome.
Well, thank you very much. That's a high compliment, and I really enjoyed my time. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for coming in.
You bet.
Erik, I'll go ahead and leave it to you after. Well, let's turn it over to Evan since he hasn't said much.
Bye-bye.
Well, there's not much to say. I mean, just other than thanks for coming here.
Thank you.
We will want to speak to you in the future. I'm sure we could probably connect with you off air. About some of our contacts. Maybe you can do something with those. We don't know, but thanks for coming here. It was a delight.
You bet. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and I've enjoyed talking to y'all. So y'all have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, nice talking to you and meeting you.
Nice talking to you too, Ethan. You take care, okay?
Have a great evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Christy Henderson from I don't want to get this wrong.
BNC.
WSPA. Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina. Asheville, North Carolina. I know the TV market. I know, I've never been.
Nice lady. Really nice lady.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay, what are we going to talk about next?
Well,
do we want to fill
I guess
some time? Or?
Since we're doing weather, Ethan, do you have the ability to pull up and do a quick weather report for this area?
Yes, as a matter of fact, let me go to my 7-day forecast here, and I'll explain everything.
All right. While you're doing that, Ethan, I just thought of a question I think is very relevant for us here.
Yeah.
Since we have been abnormally dry in this part of the state of Ohio, and there are other parts of the state that are anywhere from extreme to exceptional in terms of drought. Tell us how we're doing with all the rain that came as a result of Helene. Do you have any information on it?
I definitely think the drought here locally has definitely decreased just a smidge with that rain. We really needed that. And our plants just got the drinks of water they needed, and it looks like they got hydrated. So we are just abnormally dry, mainly across Northeast Ohio at this point. Hopefully it continues that way or gets better.
Here's my follow-up. How much rain would Southern Ohio need to eliminate the exceptional drought that they have? Is there some kind of measure that you've seen that they would need, measurement or length of time for rain that they would need in order to eliminate the drought and see if they could actually grow their crop? Farmers could grow their crops and harvest them.
Probably like 10 to 15 inches.
It's quite a bit.
Oh, like 10 to 15 inches. Yeah. Even 5 inches isn't going to do it. Like that exceptional drought, you're going to need consistent rain and potentially a flood. You don't want a flood, but
we've already heard from Christy about that.
Yep, we've already had the flooding in North Carolina. Now we don't need it here in Ohio.
That's for sure. But how long do you think the southern part of the state would need the amount of rain that you figure would be required to break the drought? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or just break it up over
40
a couple
days,
of months?
40 nights.
To be quite honest,
40 days. Well, okay. I mean, I'd go along with that.
To be quite honest, you'd have to have probably a week or two of consistent rain to break that drought, and consistent heavy rain, not just your light rain, and then it
can't be just like what we've had around here for the last week or so.
No,
definitely not. Huh?
No, we've had boring stuff these past few days. Just cloudiness from Helene.
What are you thinking for tomorrow? It's going to rain?
For tomorrow?
It's going to rain?
For tomorrow, we're going to have a weak front through here, and I think that may pop up some showers and some rainfall. Some of those showers, it's interesting because I was looking at the instability. There's very limited instability, only a couple hundred joules per kilogram of instability, but there's a decent amount of shear coming with it. So some of those showers could be on the gusty side, I think, tomorrow.
Okay, what's the Cape and everything at? I haven't looked at that thing for a couple of days.
Like 200 to 300, maybe some 400s on there.
Minimal. The reason I'm asking, I've got some antenna work I got to do outside, and I need a dry day. But hopefully,
tomorrow afternoon those showers are going to be popping up like popcorn. So you're going to be seeing on the radar like this area, and then 10 miles east of your area, another shower, and then another shower, and it's just going to go bazooka all over the radar tomorrow. But nothing severe, maybe some gusty showers, maybe special weather statement or two.
What'd you think of the 7 inches and 8 inches of rain that we got on August 8th? I haven't talked to you since then. What'd you think? What'd you think of that storm? Wasn't that awesome?
We haven't talked since August 6th. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was a decent MCS. Don't you agree that was an MCS?
Yep.
That
you're talking about the stuff that was over Avon Lake and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was something else. And then 2 days later, you had all that stuff that popped up like
all that
one
flooding.
big popcorn, one big popcorn kernel.
Yeah. And it was like there were two boundaries. All right. There was like a high pressure system off towards the east and an area of low pressure off towards the west. And the area of rain that developed that night on August 8th just didn't have anywhere to go. So it just sat up from Cleveland all the way back down to Canton and then just sat over us until it fell apart.
Yeah, I was getting reports of 5 and 6 inches of rain clear down into Worcester. I had 5.5 at
Oga Falls was underwater. I saw.
I had 5.5 in Orville. I had reports between 5 and 7. Now this is measured rain.
Measured rain.
I only take measured rain reports, and I had 2 reports of right around the where it used to be Northampton, up there where Mr. Funds used to be and all that area up there. I had 2 reports of 7 inches of measured rain there. And it covered a pretty wide area. And then on top of that, once you started coming back into the falls, they're around 6th Street. They had about 6.5 inches there. So I had a friend that pretty much lives on that corner, and he had his rain gauge said 6.5.
Yeah, that was definitely an event.
What amused me and amazed me was, like you said, it had nowhere to go. It sat there. If that would have moved, we wouldn't have had anywhere near the amount of rain. But it sat there and it just rained itself out.
Yeah, if that high pressure system wasn't there, we probably would have gotten just showers and thunderstorm pop-ups. That moved pretty quickly. Maybe even line of storms.
Then you start talking about over there in Copley and West Akron. That was another place that had a cell that when it popped up, it just blew itself up there. I ended up taking I did a Facebook survey on my Skywarn page, and we were talking about the weather office had asked me if I could find reports in and around that flooding area. Yeah. And so I actually took them I think there was 8 different reports I took up there. And it fell in and around to the reports that they had been getting. I guess they got a slew of them from up there too. It was quite an event. It was almost that thing the 2 days earlier where those little tornadoes spun up was something else too.
That was more. Yeah, we had the tornado warnings, but did you see the wind warnings? Like there were 80 mile an hour, 70 mile an hour winds widespread within that line.
And I was watching that on the high res wind stuff because I was trying to see if there was going to be anything spin up, and you could really clearly see the places that was spinning up at. That's really the first time I ever looked at that.
Yeah, and I think that one of those tornadoes could have been on the stronger side.
Yeah, the strongest ones they've reported were that thing over Parma.
Yeah.
There was one over that was in North Summit County. And then everything else was an F1 or 0.
Just boring tornadoes.
Nothing's boring. You get like you can get a little tornado spin up like that, and it might cover 200 or 300 feet. But when it's if it's on the ground for 8 miles, it's going to rip some stuff up.
Yeah, a little bit.
Did you see the second tornado movie? Ethan?
Yes, it's so good. Twisters.
Did you see the first one?
Oh yeah,
What'd you
the second one's better compared to the first one.
The second one had a better plot, but did you think the depiction of the storms and that was as good? I didn't.
Definitely.
I didn't think it was that. I didn't think it was as good. The first one actually did a better story of portraying the storms. At least that's
the
what I
second
thought.
one had better graphics, but the first one had better explaining, kind of.
Yeah, I kind of think that too. I saw them both. I've went to the theater for both of those because I love those movies.
And slightly off topic about the Twister movies. There was supposed to be a talk by Helen Hunt at the Akron Summit County Library about a week ago about this new one, but that ended up being canceled. I don't know if it's going to be rescheduled, but
I saw that it got canceled. I was hoping to be able to go to that.
Yeah. Scheduling conflict of some kind. I assume that it will be made up at a later time, but
there was an actual thing that the Weather Service did a couple of weeks, almost a month ago.
What did they do?
They actually did a seminar talking on the movie, or a webinar talking about the movie and the flaws in it and the good parts and everything else. In that second, tell me about in that second movie, Ethan. Let me try your knowledge here a little bit. What was wrong with the beginning of that second movie?
What was wrong with the beginning?
Yeah, when they drove into that storm, what was wrong there? There was one big thing.
The tornado was like in with the hail in the rain.
It stuck out like a sore thumb to me. It wasn't anything to do with that. Although you can get rain wrapped like that. Some storms do that.
It was like almost instant. Like,
what about the bridge? Let's take that a little further.
The bridge didn't blow that girl away.
Well, the bridge, if you would have hid or went everything I've ever been taught about that, and believe me, it's been 30 years of teaching. Everything I've ever been taught has told me, do not go up under a bridge girder, because if it's a big enough storm, it'll take that bridge with it. And if
and we'll go alongside.
And if it's not, the winds funnel into the underside of that bridge, and you could get 200 or 300 mile an hour winds if you get under that bridge like that. You never get under a bridge. And the first thing they did in that movie, they headed for the bridge.
Yeah. And it didn't blow away. That's a big thing that's wrong.
Now those storms a lot of times will do what they call scarcifying the ground. And what it does, especially if it's a big one. That's why a lot of times you'll see these homes and that have been ripped off the foundation, because that storm sucks all the air up off the ground, and it sucks the dirt with it, and anything that is loose and any type of debris that's in there is probably spinning, and it'll act like a grinder.
Yeah,
I've seen that on some. If you look for the Tipton tornadoes a few years back, there's some images that the Red Cross put out that were doing just exactly what I said, and you could see where that thing had scarcified the ground.
Yeah,
I was actually thinking of a straw. It sounds to me like the way you described it, Pat. It would be like sucking on a straw. It would just.
But everything surrounding that straw is already circulating.
Mm-hmm.
When you get a tornado, any kind of a decent tornado, the storm that actually forms that is already spinning. That's why you get wall clouds that are spinning, and when they drop, that's why when it forms a funnel, you can actually see the funnel come out, and it's spinning about the same speed as the as the outside, except when it elongates, the winds start getting smaller and more compact, and it starts spinning them faster at the bottom.
Right.
I have done surveys on this kind of stuff. I've done with the weather stuff that I do. I have to look at all the angles like that. The storms just absolutely amuse me sometimes. And we've had a few of them this year. But anyway, wake up, Erik. This is your show.
Hey. I know. Hey.
Can I give that 7-day forecast here? It's sitting on there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. So, you know that tomorrow we have a front coming through. And temperatures are likely going to be in the low 70s ahead of it. Wednesday, we're likely going to clear out significantly. We're finally going to get sunshine in the forecast. And temperatures will only be in the upper 60s. Morning temperatures will only be in the low 50s. So it's not going to be cold, but it's going to be cooler than it has been. Look at that, 60 degrees tomorrow morning. Now watch, if you go from 60 to 53 on Wednesday morning, it's going to feel a bit chilly out there. Thursday, you're going to be in the upper 40s in the morning, and it's going to be a mostly cloudy day with perhaps another cold front coming through. It doesn't look like it's going to do anything too much, but as we go, it's going to be very brief. And then as we head through the day on Friday, we get a warm front in here, big one. And trust me, I'm not just saying that out of thin air. I looked at the winds. It's a big wind shift throughout the day on Friday. Upper 70s. All right. Isn't that warm for this time of year, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Upper 70s. And look at the morning temperature. 54. All right, we should be in the upper 40s this time of year for the mornings. And then as we go into Saturday, look at that, 73, sticking in the 70s, upper 70s again on Sunday. Now, Sunday into Monday, this is basically the biggest part of this forecast. All right, I think we're going to have a massive blockbuster cold front, and I think that's going to produce some pretty severe thunderstorms ahead of it. I mean, I looked at the parameters, and it's already showing a good few hundred to 1,000 joules per kilogram already, almost a week out, less than a week out. And look at that temperature drop. Do you see that temperature drop? 77 for high to 53 is high on Monday. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So, what do you think will be the main threat with those storms? Because I know you said in the brief for Sunday, it says strong to severe storms. So, What do you think will be the biggest threat for that?
Probably wind damage, because it's probably going to be attached to the strong low-level jet. I think it's going to be damaging winds. However, I can't rule out tornadoes. You know, when you get those squall lines, you can't really rule out spin-ups. I don't think.
What are you looking at? What are you looking at as far as dew points those days? At least Sunday.
As far as dew points, man, I mean, don't you agree that the 60s are a little high dew points for this time of year?
Yeah,
yeah, they're going to be in the low to mid 60s, maybe. That's a little bit of a stretch. Low 60s for Sunday evening ahead of that front.
Yeah, that could produce a spin up.
Yeah,
I'm trying to look at this from a couple of different perspectives. I know.
Yeah, high wind, maybe a couple spin ups, like you said. Yeah, the dew points are going to be suspicious. In the low 60s. That might not be too impressive, but I mean, it's impressive for this time of year, early October standards, right?
Well, I've seen 70s and 80s clear into the end of October.
80s?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's
Ohio.
There's a few years back it was that way, and then we ended up having tornadoes in November, in the middle of November, because the weather pattern
yeah.
changed. Remember that?
Yeah, that was abnormal. That was definitely abnormal.
The weather patterns changed about mid-November, and then all of a sudden the cold started coming in, and we got tornadoes in different places around the state. Actually,
Was that the one
there
that
was
hit?
actually a breakout that year.
Yeah.
Was that the one that hit like Western Ohio pretty bad,
Yeah,
like 10 years ago?
there was that would have taken out. Actually, there was that year there was something over Stowe, if I remember rightly.
What? Oh, yeah. Yes. I think I remember a tornado touchdown near the Stowe High School that one time.
That was actually the end of September. Okay. I remember the one you're talking about. I remember that storm. We had spotters following that from its original spin-up point, which was over Orville. We tracked it clear across our county, clear into, it went right over my house. We tracked it all the way up through Monroe Falls, and then it started getting more spun up than it was, and it ended up dropping a tail over Monroe Falls, and by the time, and that's when it got over the Stowe Monroe Falls High School, it touched down and actually caused some damage to the bleachers and that. Then it went back up into the clouds, moved over into Geauga County, and did some real damage over there. I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
We followed that thing. That was the first time in a long time I'd had so many spotters on the air doing what they actually should have done.
I'm pretty sure that was back in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I have something to ask just to ask a past meteorologist. Do you think Sunday looks concerning as of right now?
I would say so, yeah. Especially the temperature drop there. If that decides it's going to drop all at once, or if you get 10 or 15 degree dip from that 77.
Yeah.
You have to realize that once you hit about 57, 58 degrees, then it's probably going to just be a wind event because nothing else can create it.
Yeah, and Monday looks really windy as of right now. Depending on the time, well, no matter the timing of the front, the temperatures are still going to drop and crash.
Yeah, well, what I'm looking at is that drop between 77 and 48. And if you get a drop that high on the way down, it's gonna stir the atmosphere up, and you're gonna get that's where your wind is, and that's gonna come from. And
these are
spin it up.
You see, these are the highest temperatures I saw on the model runs. Like I looked at the European model runs, the European ensembles and stuff.
Yeah,
that's what it's showing. 53 for Monday, the highest temperature in Northeast Ohio.
Well,
just absurd.
Yeah, it's October. Absurd. It's October.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and this is probably not the only strong cold shot we're gonna get because
I've seen it snow as soon as October 12th.
Oh, jeez.
That was the year my daughter got married. It was snowing when my mother came up from Florida, and she moved down there because of the snow. She come up and was up here until the Monday after, and when I put her in the car, it was snowing to beat the band.
Yeah, well,
my poor mother.
You can get those lake effect squalls as early as mid-October, and you can get your first winter storm as early November.
Yeah,
it's happened before. It's
happened, but being that we're in between El Nino and La Nina, I'm beginning to think you may have kind of a normal winter unless something else starts coming around.
I wonder if La Nina will actually develop at this point.
You got some temperatures that were down off the African coast and down out by Puerto Rico, and that if that pushes up, you might start getting some action like that.
Yeah.
But you're in the opposite. And you usually go from El Nino to La Nina and back and forth. And
yeah, this is a weird water pattern, man. This is a weird water pattern.
I think if you get, if the La Nina doesn't form, then we'll be all right. It'll probably be a normal winter. But if it does form, you're liable to see either a ton of snow or nothing at all.
Yeah.
Text message.
Yeah, hopefully we get some decent snow, and hopefully we don't. Well, do you think we might get warm-ups and severe weather potentially in January?
Well, you normally do at the end of about the middle of the month. You get the January warm-up.
The thaw. Yeah. We typically get severe weather now as soon as February. And that's insane.
Yeah, it's been, there's years that you can have a really snowy February and nothing in January. I've seen that before. I've seen there was a 12-inch snowfall on Valentine's Day. But what you're looking for most of the time is if you can get by what they call the depth of winter, which is usually the last 2 weeks of January. If you can get through that point, your temperature start increasing, and you'll start, even if it snows, it's not going to stay long.
Yeah.
And I look for that all the time. When I was driving, I used to pray to get through those 2 weeks of the year.
Oh man, yeah.
All
right, yeah. Unfortunately, I have to go. But I have one more thing to add.
Okay, go ahead.
Monday, if these temperatures actually verify on the modeling, I definitely think we could see our first frost of the season. Not a freeze, maybe some frost.
That'll be the end of the growing season.
Yep. Summer, done.
Yep.
It's going to be done pretty soon anyway.
All right, Ethan. Thanks for coming in, man. It's been fun.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry I have to leave.
We were about ready to go anyway.
Yep. Okay. I was just about to wrap up, so
I guess it all works out.
It all works out well.
Thanks, Ethan. Talk to you later in the week.
Take care.
Do you want the next broadcast?
I don't know. I'll keep you updated.
Okay.
We're actually pondering the idea of doing a Twisters thing in March. I may invite you to be part of it, either on Zoom here or come to come to the meeting I'm going to be at. You might enjoy that. We're gonna talk tornadoes and Skywarn.
Nice. I'll be there.
All right. Thanks for coming in, man.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
See you.
Thank you.
Wait. Well, with that, it's a good time to wrap up. Today has been a really good show. Mm-hmm. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
And you didn't want to do it. And you didn't want to do it.
Well,
we can talk about the Browns now.
Yeah, I was trying to go a whole show without mentioning the Browns because they're not worth talking about.
Nick Chubb's coming back next week. Nick Chubb's coming back.
Not to play, to practice, but yeah.
Well, something.
That's a step. But hey.
Go Guardians.
Yeah, go Guardians.
They have some time to rest. They don't have to play in the wild card round.
I'm hoping to have a guest sports wise in 2 weeks, but I don't want to let it out of the bag yet. But if we can't get him, we might just do another show, non-sports, because I feel like non-sports is actually kind of good.
I'll tell you what,
Change up.
every other week we might want to do a weather show. Just talk about the weather, what it's done the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
We can do that. Yeah, that's right. We can do that.
Or we could find many other topics. So before we wrap up, other shows this week, Four Guys is back, right?
Yeah, Four Guys is back.
Okay.
We'll be
so
there.
Four Guys on Sports, 11 to noon on Saturday. Radioactive, 7:30 to 9 on Sunday, which I'm excited for not excited, but the one topic that that I sent you earlier today, the hand gesture that signs that somebody is in an abusive relationship.
I've actually seen different clips on that. I've got my eye on a couple of them. I'm going to probably get a couple of clips for that, just to show everybody what it's about. There actually is another topic we're going to talk about that we didn't cover last week, and that's the FEMA deciding not to fund the storm damage repair in Summit County for the August 8th event. We'll talk about that. I was planning on talking about that last week. We're going to do that this week. I've got some really eye-opening stuff on that.
It's interesting, just not to get too deep into that topic that I just teased, but it's interesting. TikTok is usually a bunch of nonsense, but that trend with the hand signal actually started on TikTok. So, TikTok isn't all bad, but tune in Sunday to find out exactly what that is. Between 7:30 and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And then next Monday is the Art of Argument with Pat and Dale.
And you know what we're going to talk about this week or next week? We've got a debate coming up tomorrow night that I am chomping at the bit for. You got a vice presidential debate coming tomorrow evening. And that is going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody knows I love J.D. Vance. Not.
But I know. But
we know.
I don't want to say anything.
That's the Art of Argument. Monday night.
Yeah.
Be there,
8
be square.
to 9.
We'll be discussing the vice presidential debate.
So with that, I want to thank.
I can argue with him over.
You can argue. You can argue 24/7 if you have the chance. No,
and I would too. Want to argue? Let's start now.
Okay, that works.
Evan, start your watch.
I would, but
I would, but
I want to get going. Hey, I was trying to debate you last night, but
nobody's let you.
Yeah, I mean, I would have gone back and forth.
Well, there were certain parties in that particular podcast that didn't want me arguing.
Mm-hmm.
So I let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank you to Christy and Ethan for joining us. With that, I say, have a good night, everybody.
morning, good afternoon, and good night, Pittsburgh! Get off my air, you ignorant ass! The whole state of Michigan, the whole state of Michigan, the whole state of Michigan, give a damn for the whole state of Michigan. We're from Ohio, we're from Ohio, we're from Ohio. Oh, give a damn for the whole state of Michigan, the whole state of Michigan, the whole state of Michigan. We don't give a damn for the whole state of Michigan. We're from Ohio.